Hello and welcome! Welcome to this video about especially the lunar eclipse of the 8th of October 2014. And I will be talking just a tiny little bit about the solar eclipse. Why do I think it is more important, the lunar eclipse? Because it's a total eclipse. Therefore it's much more significant. So I have put a link below here about if you want to do some exploration about astrology, about eclipses, about Saros family. If you think, what the hell is this? You can explore, because I made other videos of that. But this one in October is a very, very interesting eclipse going on. Of course, the lunar eclipse in Aries, so the sun will be in Libra, and the moon will be in Aries. It will be at 15 degrees of Aries. So everyone who's got some planets around there will feel it. Definitely people who've got planets, in general in Aries or Libra will feel it the most, and a bit to a lesser degree people who've got planets around, let's say, 15 degrees of Capricorn or Cancer, because that's squaring up to it. But anyway, what does it mean? Eclipses are very important, and they are very significant a couple of weeks before and after the eclipse occurs. So it's on the 8th of October, but that's why I always try to make those videos a bit earlier, because you can already feel the energy before and also after. Eclipses are there, especially lunar eclipses, to bring things into consciousness and to awake, you could say. But what is this particular eclipse all about? It belongs, if you're interested, it belongs to the Saros family 127. And the first eclipse of that kind of series of eclipses was on the 9th of July 1275. Now, if you want to know the meaning of this particular eclipse, you need to go to where it all started, as we do with people. If we look at what is happening with a person, we look at the transits. But it's best to start to look a bit at the natal chart in order to see how one responds, or one's character is, one's temperament. And when you look at this particular eclipse, it had the same aspects, or almost the same aspects going on as what is happening on the 8th of October. And it has a theme of the moon, of Uranus and Venus. So it's absolutely about patterns, old patterns of relationships, probably for most people, because it's on the axis of Aries and Libra, which is mostly about relationships, but it's of letting go of old patterns, particularly now as well, because, as I will explain in a minute, the south node is about letting go and becoming less and less important in life. So what will become less and less important in our lives? Old patterns, and we all have them. We all have, by old patterns, it doesn't mean to say that these patterns come from our ancestors, or it could be even, but it's old patterns mostly of behavior that are restricting us too much, and now we have the opportunity to break free from that. The key word here is, I always had to think of the song of France Gall, Des Branches means, I think it means breaking free or something. And this is the title almost of this eclipse. It's about breaking free, absolutely. And a lot of people are having fear of breaking free, because when you break free, it often means or implies that choices are made here. Choices that we've been neglecting to take, or safely putting under the table or the carpet or whatever, and now we need to face. And why is that? Because the eclipse here is totally of the theme of Uranus and Venus. And let's explain this. So whilst this is happening, there will be not only an aspect between the sun and the moon in an opposition, which is every month this is happening, that is a full moon, you could say. But now Venus is in the play as well. Venus is opposing the moon in this particular eclipse. And Uranus is conjuncting the moon. Uranus is conjuncting the moon. So two very important themes. On the one hand, you've got the moon conjunct Uranus, which is all about breaking free. And on the other hand, you've got Venus opposite moon, which is all about, what's that word? Ambivalence? Ambivalence. It's all about that. It's all about not being content. It's a stressful situation. So whenever, if you see in a natal chart a Venus opposing the moon, you can be sure of the fact that this person will have a lot of ambivalence going on. So I mean, what do I mean by that? I mean contradicting emotions going on when it comes to relationships. And we all know ambivalence, don't we? It causes stress. It is for a particular thing or a particular situation, particular person, feeling two opposite feelings or emotions that are contradictory. The one goes to the left and the other goes to the right. And that can go from, oh, I want this ice cream so much. It's a huge ice cream and I want it. That's the Venus, you know, I want it and I'm going to indulge myself. And then the moon is, I don't feel good afterwards. I have an indigestion. So we all know those different contradictory emotions and feelings at the same time, which we all have in life, because that's what life is all about. It's about how we deal with that, how we bring those into balance. And so for a lot of people, and I will break it more down into the monthly horoscopes of October, but in general it's all about this discontentment about our feelings, our emotions, and one part of us is content with a certain situation, but the other part isn't. So it's an opposition. And with oppositions, you often have that people project. So let's say this happened, because this is about the first house versus the seventh house. So this is for a lot of people about relationships. Not all of them. This is the general flavor, remember. But for a lot of people, this will mean that there is a contentment in a relationship. Probably because of the Venus in Libra, which is about I like this person, or I can be sexually attracted to a certain person, or I am content with relationship. I feel alive, I feel chemistry and all of that. But I'm actually afraid of that person, or this person doesn't fulfill my needs. I don't feel comfortable with this person. Or the other way around, I feel very comfortable with this person, that is the moon. I feel very yes, that this person, I come home with this person. I feel very protected in this relationship, but this person doesn't turn me on. So that's the opposition with the Venus. So it's a bit of a simplistic explanation, but this is how this energy works out. So it's a moon opposite Venus is a very challenging aspect to have. It's not the easiest aspect at all, and it can give people a lot of stress. But because of this stress, people need to do something, and that's the positive side of this eclipse. So the positive side, I think, is Uranus conjunct the moon, which wants to break free. And in general, when you see in a natal chart a person that has a strong aspect between the moon and Uranus, it's a person that won't let, I love, because I have this myself in my natal chart, but it means that they won't like other people to dictate them what to do, to dictate them especially what they need. And therefore they can do some unusual, they're a bit unusual because they are very independent in what they need. And what they need actually is breaking away from patterns that are restricting them. That's basically the moon Uranus. It's about liberating oneself. So when this happens now with the eclipse, this tension between the moon and Venus, it's all about breaking free from an old pattern that is not fulfilling anymore. Now, do I mean breaking free from old relationships and start on new ones? No, that's just a pitfall. The key here is to be very honest with yourself and to look at what you really, really need. And that can only be done with a connection that you have with your higher self, with your higher consciousness, or with the universe, or with God, if you believe in God. And then you can go very deep and be very honest about what you need, because it's like a wake-up call for everyone that says, if you're not looking at breaking free from patterns that are really destructive at the moment, then you're going to punish yourself almost, and you're going to neglect a very deep part of yourself, an emotional need that you have. So that's the energy. It's a very, I think, a very big opportunity to break away from old patterns that have enchained us. You know, a moon Uranus, when you see that in a transit, or the positive side of it, and I want to stress the positive side, because the negative side is just changing because of the change, because of, you know, this is a very restless energy. The moon Uranus, I call that the how is it called? It's a spina bifida. Spina bifida is, you know, when, you know, it's about the nervous system. It's a very nervous energy. It's restless energy. When something is going okay and stable, the person wants to shake it up, because there is the need, which is the moon, of variation. And if you look at it in a very open perspective, there's nothing wrong about variation in life. But we need to go to the good things that we want to change, that we want to bring up in our lives, and that we want to break free from. So if you are, for people who are now in situations especially when situations have been going on for a long time, and situations of being stuck, you know, which is like Saturn, you are being, Saturn energy is, a lot of people have Saturn energy or Saturn transits in their chart at the moment, and that is energy of being stuck. And Uranus, when Uranus comes along, it can break you free. It can help you to get out of that fear, because the moon and Uranus is also about the distrust that one feels, and therefore is waiting in the comfort zone to break free, but doesn't want to go out of it. A moon-Uranus connection is all, and when someone has it in a natal chart, this is a person, or this is energy that they know exactly what another person needs. They know exactly, and therefore they can say, you need this and that, and they are very good at telling that to other people. But when it comes to themselves, it's very difficult, because they wait too long. Uranus is all about, when a Uranus transit comes along, whether it's on your Venus, and in this particular part it's actually on the Venus as well, because Uranus opposes Venus. And when that comes along, it means that people, because this is a general view that I do, that people have been waiting too long for changes. People have been, it's 1 minute before 12 when Uranus comes along. It means you have been stocking up and be restricting yourself way too much. So, but again, it doesn't mean to say that you have to definitely break up all your relationships that you have. No, but it means you have to look at it. You need to redefine it. You need to re-look at it in a fresh way. Not redefining it, but re-looking at it and seeing where you can make some changes to meet your needs a bit more. So for a lot of people, it will just simply mean that they need a bit more space in relationships, because this is all about space. And for others, it will mean there is too much space in our relationships and there's no connection anymore. So what an eclipse this is, I mean, as I said, this is in general, but I think it's a very, very important eclipse, that a lot of people can break free from those old patterns that are not fulfilling ourselves anymore, that we are not meeting our needs anymore. So it's a very independent eclipse. It's a call for independency, a call for individuality in relationships, in wants and in needs. And you can make it a bad thing, but you better make it a good thing, isn't it? I mean, we all want to be happy, don't we? And it is freeing ourselves up and communicate about that. Now the fixed star that is on the 15 degrees of Aries, I'm always interested what that says. And the fixed star is Alpheratz. And this is a fixed star about independence and freedom. So it's double testimony here. It's a fixed star of love, of Venus and Jupiter. So again, this freedom in love. And I don't mean freedom doing what you want, but I mean that there is a freedom if you can have love relationships where you can be yourself. And yes, there always needs to be compromises, but now it's not about that. Now it's about showing what you are all about, showing what's on your mind. The moon is the mind as well, so showing what's on your mind. And if you do that now, and maybe for some it will be a bit of a turbulent time, maybe for others it won't, because they already have worked towards this equilibrium in relationships. So it definitely doesn't mean that relationships are not working. You know, with Moon Uranus, relationships do work as well. But if you take into account these things that I've just said, you know, your own individuality, your own mind, and not suppressing that, because then it comes back in a negative way. So that's about the lunar eclipse, and I think it's a very we can all benefit from this eclipse. Now the solar eclipse is partial, and it is in Scorpio, 0 degrees of Scorpio, so the sun will be next to the moon, and that will be on the 23rd of October. And in my point of view, it has to do with commitment in love. So it's almost like when why do I think that? Because Scorpio is very often about commitment, and about what do we want to commit towards. And Venus is again playing a big role here, because Venus is conjunct the sun and the moon. So I think firstly, it's a good thing that we have first the lunar eclipse, which is about this is what I need, this is what I'm all about, this is how I think, this is how I feel, and then we can make the commitment and then the hard work. So, but first there has to be this freedom and this space before you can commit yourself. So I think that the solar eclipse is a lot about commitment, deep commitment, and deep research as well, because it's on a fixed star that is all about research. The fixed star, I think, is Princeps, which is a star that if people have planets there, these people know do a lot about research, are good researchers. So here you could say on a general level, it has to do with research about relationships, going very deep, liberating oneself from the things that are making us not being ourselves, and therefore, after that, committing yourself. And then the work starts, doesn't it? Because that's a whole other story. About commitment, it's about compromising as well. Not always, but that's what relationships are all about. If you go out traveling with, it doesn't matter if it's your lover, if it's your kid, if it's friends. If you do that with more than one person, there's always, you know, people that you need to take into account. And the Scorpio energy is about, yes, the loyalty, and I want to do that because now I've shown who I am, and I have shared my needs with another person, so I can only show what I need, and now is my work to commit to someone, and especially to yourself as well. So first the commitment with yourself and then with other people.